We've had kind of a crazy week, but we have the real pleasure of having our startup story this week be Jaia Robotics with Ian and Jason. And our friend Toonie, our executive director, will be acting as our moderator this week for this startup story. We're really excited. So Ian, if you would like to take it away.
Well, Gyro Robotics, this has been a journey. It kind of all started a long time ago. I grew up in a little town in South Wales, right on the ocean, a beautiful 7-mile long stretch of golden sand that was capped at one end with a steelworks and the other end with a chemical factory. And a lot of pollution. It really made me think deeply about the ocean. So I joined the Royal Navy, and another pivotal moment for me was out in the Gulf on a little UK ship behind a very large US aircraft carrier that was leaving a trail of trash all the way to the horizon. Deeply shocking. Like, how are we doing this to our ocean? And then to drive that home a little further, I was working still in the Navy in Saudi Arabia during the first Gulf War, which a lot of you won't remember, but there was a awful oil spill. And I was part of the team that helped set up and establish the Wildlife Rescue Center that dealt with thousands and thousands of oiled birds that we collected from the beaches, washed them, fed them, got them back to health, released them into the wild. So I've always had that deep connection with the ocean and a passion for making sure that we look after it. Moving forward, I left the Navy. Best thing I did was leave, second best was join. Worked in some big industries in the UK, came to the US in 2007 and ended up in Rhode Island, which is the ocean state. Worked for a couple of small companies, got really embedded into the blue tech, autonomous vehicle, robotic industry, working for companies that got smaller and smaller and smaller until about 3 years ago, I joined a company called Aquatics. And Aquatics had these pretty small autonomous vehicles that worked in teams and collected ocean data. And it was a fantastic revelation as ocean data collection doesn't need to be done solely by large, expensive, difficult to operate, dangerous to launch and recover in many instances to collect ocean data. So why is ocean data important? The Rhode Island Senate last night passed a bill to really kind of address climate change and its impacts on our ocean state. That plan needs to be driven by data. We need to collect information from the ocean to figure out what its interactions are with the environment, how it's driving the climate change, and what we can do about it, and how we can anticipate and plan for the future. So having established this small niche market for microsized vehicles, Jason and I left Aquatics in December, and we started Jaia Robotics. So Gyro Robotics is focused on microsized vehicles. They're about the size of a baseball bat. You can see a representation there of us thrown into the surf zone down at Second Beach in Newport or Middletown. And these vehicles work in teams of between 1 and 2, 20 vehicles, all working together to collect data from the ocean from depths of almost 0 meters in the surf zone out to 100 meters depth for coastal areas, rivers, lakes, etc. So the awesome part of our business story is that with Aquatics, we will be able to penetrate the market, build customer interest and traction. So we had that springboard that allowed us to do all the things that we couldn't do with Aquatics because of limitations of the vehicle design, and design a new product that can travel faster. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be much more easy to integrate sensors and systems onto the vehicle. And it really is cool. I have to turn my background off, but just to show you, this is the first iteration of the JaiaBot. It really is microsized, and it is very rugged, robust, and we are going to have our first working prototype in the water in September this year. So we're actively going through product development. Where the business is right now, we kicked off product development in March, and we've got we've bootstrapped the company to get to this stage, and we're now actively looking for investment. So we're on that quest that every company startup goes through. Need money to make it through to the next phase, and that's being actively worked as we in parallel do the product development. We've put together an awesome team. Jason has got 7 years experience with aquatics. I'm a little bit older and got a little bit more experience across a range of areas, as you can probably tell. But we've got an awesome software partner in Gobisoft, which is Toby Schneider of MIT. Catania Enterprises are leading the mechanical design with Ray Catania, ton of unmanned underwater vehicle experience. And then for the hydrodynamics, because this really is a unique vehicle in the way that it's designed, the way it's going to travel through the water. We're working with Hydrocomp up in New Hampshire, which has got over 30 years of hydrodynamic propeller design and really understanding what it takes to make a vehicle efficient and operate to its optimum performance in the environment that it's going to be used in. That's kind of like the high-level picture of how we got to where we are. I think, Tony, you've got some, you're going to hand over to Tony to some questions.
Most definitely. First of all, I love that you told your story and clearly identified your why and differentiator. You know, there are problems, and this is a solution to that problem. And you even let us know that you've bootstrapped it and now you're looking for funding. So my question is, what can we do to support you, and who do you need to meet in order to grow?
So we've got some really great connections that we established and are actively engaged with in our custom community. The US Geological Survey, they've got something called the Next Generation Water Observing System. We're in discussions with those guys. We talk into the US Army Corps of Engineers. They've got a number of applications that we're actively discussing with them. And there's several departments of the Navy that we're actively discussing. So all of those areas we've got great relationships with the people that we're talking to, the customer. There's a stated need. So that's moving forward. The government isn't the fastest procurement organization in the world. There is one area that we really could do with some lift and help to penetrate, which is water quality and environmental water monitoring. So in the US, there are 1,500 lakes that are over 5,000 acres in size. Those lakes, and there's thousands of others, but 68% of our community's water supply comes from surface water. That water needs to be measured in terms of its quality. Right now, it's done by a combination of citizen scientists, people wading out, people in boats. It's kind of very disparate. Working out how to penetrate that market and provide a service where we can monitor the water quality with one person operating a fleet of 5 vehicles, cover off a wide area, go from the surface all the way down to the bottom, collecting water samples and information that says, yeah, this lake is in great shape, or there's something not right with this lake, or this river, or this estuary, etc. That is a market that we really could do with some help in getting a leg up and getting some contacts to understand. Because I think the commercial world, and there's commercial government and academic agencies all working on this problem, but finding the right person to talk to about that, or people, organizations, would be a huge help.
That's, well, ideas. This is the way my brain works, right? So as you're speaking, my brain is firing. And, when I was in my early 30s, I was on the board of an awesome organization called the Narrow River Preservation Association. It's been decades. And I remember wading out doing water quality testing in Narrow River, right? The Narragansett Bay and the ocean, creates Narrow River. So that right off the bat. And I remember when I was involved back in whatever decade that was, We had some amazing researchers that worked, professors from URI that were on the board and very involved. So we need to connect you right away with URI if you're not already. So that's on my to-do list. And any of you watching, if you have ideas, Ian's going to drop, or Amy's going to drop his email address so we can reach out, or you can reach out to Amy or myself to connect with Ian and Jason. Okay, so my next question, and I apologize, guys, because I am doing virtual from home today before I head up to our district hall space to do our in-person. So if you hear my cat, sorry about that. Why did you found this startup in Rhode Island? And I met you when you were working with Aquabotics over at Innovate Newport. And so, yeah, why is it great to be here?
So this is the ocean state. It's surrounded by water. It's beautiful, but it's also, I think, right in the epicenter of that blue tech explosion that we're seeing right now, with the development of the offshore wind fields, with Ørsted locating a significant presence in Providence. You got the whole academic belt coming down from Boston through Cape Cod at Hui, down through UMass Dartmouth, URI, just over the bridge. And I live in Jamestown, and it's really beautiful. And being in that hub of that blue tech world, that the corridor of innovation in this area, it gives us access to resources. It allows collaboration. It really is a fantastic place to be. And when we all get back into the mode of traveling out of Providence Airport is a whole lot easier than traveling out of Boston. So there's a lot of reasons for being located here.
Well, I love all those answers as Rhode Island's economic gardener. As far as technology, what sets Jaia Robotics apart from other competition?
Can I palm that off to Jason, our technical director?
Absolutely. And I love Jason's background too. So.
Thank you. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hi, everyone else. So as far as the technology that separates us, I consider there to be really three main differentiators. Number one is the absolute ease with which a single user can operate the teams of vehicles that Ian was talking about, from start to finish, or soup to nuts, as they say. We put a ton of design emphasis on everything from the size and weight, deployment logistics, user interface, post-mission tools, all with the goal of making the entire experience as intuitive and enjoyable as possible. Second is the number of environments that you could easily and safely operate the JaiaBot system. So whether, whatever science you need to do, from 100 meters to almost zero, whether you're on a boat at sea or a lakeside dock, or just on the sand at the beach, JaiaBot is the solution. So, and you can do that all while keeping the operator out of harm's way. And the third piece is that it's the only commercial vehicle designed from the ground up to be 100% customizable by the user. So that includes changing out radios, swapping out sensors, adding additional payloads, rewriting the source code, and maybe making custom skins or anything you can think of.
Okay, I think this next question might be for you, Jason, too, or both of you. A lot of companies, I don't know how to word this, doing underwater vehicles, designing them, developing them, deploying them, claim to have open source software. But when you dig a bit deeper, that doesn't seem to be true. What makes Jaia Robotics different, and why?
Yeah, so that's perfectly phrased. Our team we're super passionate about open source software for several reasons, among which is building a community for JaiaBot development, reducing development time now and in the future, but perhaps most importantly, especially to all the customers we've spoken to, like every single one of them, is eliminating the barriers of proprietary systems so that they can access everything they need to when they need to do it. So we're providing unfettered access to the source code, and this allows the community to contribute, modify, and adapt the code as their needs evolve. And together, as customers share back to us and the rest of the community, their additions, whether it's sensor drivers or vehicle behaviors or data analysis tools. Everyone will benefit with a much more rapidly advancing tech than if we had done it alone. And to that end, our source code is already publicly released and hosted on GitHub using a GPL open source license, and anyone could go download it as we speak.
I agree, Amy. I love this. Open source is such a great way to build innovation, and partnering is key with in general. So this brings me to my final question, and I know I'm going over, Amy, because we start our next session, Cultivating Innovation, at 11:30. But as Amy will tell you, it's often my fault when the startup story goes over because I'm so excited about startup stories. Are you open to collaborations with other tech companies in Rhode Island, New England, around the world?
The simple answer is yes, right? It's incredibly important to us as a small business, very small business at the moment, that we do collaborate with other companies. Maybe it's working with companies that do ocean data collection right now, where we can offer that as a service, bringing new capabilities onto the vehicle. Maybe somebody's got some collision avoidance software that they want to test. Absolutely, what a great platform that doesn't cost a great deal of money, you can test different sorts of behaviors, different systems, different sensors, etc. And then we're a vehicle that can travel around 15 kilometers or 9 miles. If we want to have our vehicles systems delivered over the horizon, then we need to piggyback on something. Is it an autonomous surface vehicle or an autonomous underwater vehicle that we can be part of their payload? They travel those long distances, drop us off, we do our stuff, get the information back to the user. So there's any number of different collaboration opportunities, whether it's with academia or commercial organizations, absolutely. And exploring new ideas and getting new ways of collecting data, analyzing data, and really turning that data into the so what information that's going to help us decide how do we prepare for what climate change is going to bring, because it's going to happen. It's on its way. And right now, we aren't doing a lot about it, and we need to change that.
Fantastic. I love you, your team, and your company. So I'm here to continue to support you and really appreciate you jumping in. We had a different startup story scheduled, but in the blue space, so it all worked out. And I'm very honored that I was the one who got to ask you the questions. And we look forward to being on this ride with you and continuing to support you as you grow.